What is up, guys? Welcome back to another WWE broadcast. I'm your host, Bruin Steele, and I am once joined by Canadian Yorker. And today we are recapping the Friday Night Smackdown that took place on April 12th, 2024. Took place in Detroit, Michigan, and it is the first Smackdown after WrestleMania 40. And once again, WrestleMania 40 was unbelievable, and we are on the road to WrestleMania Backlash, which will take place out of the country in France. So it's gonna be awesome. It's crazy how pay-per-views are gonna be held like outside of the U.S. So we are on the road to WrestleMania Backlash, which I heard is actually in 3 or 4 weeks. So it's coming by really quick. So WrestleMania Backlash, which is going to take place in France, so it's going to be exciting to see. And already in this Friday Night SmackDown, we're already going to determine who's going to be the first number one contender to Cody's undisputed championship. So we're going to find out throughout the next week who's going to face Cody Rhodes for the championship next. We have to see about Bayley's championship. It's the build up to WrestleMania Backlash. But anyways, Canadian Yorker, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. I'm feeling pretty happy today. It's just excited for WrestleMania. WrestleMania 40 was the best WrestleMania I've ever seen. Seeing Cody finally get that championship around his belt was just awesome, and it was great WrestleMania, man. I gotta give, even though I said I'm not a fan of Roman Reigns. I will give Roman Reigns his props. The amount of times he tried to get the win over Cody, I got to give the man his flowers. All the best to him and his on his recovery and all. So that's all I have to say about that. And it's great to see Cody's new champion, and he's bringing the WWE Championship, and he's bringing um, everything coming together, and he's starting a new journey. It's going to be exciting. Who's going to see who's going to be his new challenger and Bayley's new challenger, and it's just everything is turning over a new leaf. So it's just wonderful.
Yeah, and WrestleMania Backlash is going to be around the corner, so I can't wait to see that. And right after that, I believe it's SummerSlam. So SummerSlam is going to be probably the biggest pay-per-view this year as well. SummerSlam is always awesome, which will take place in Cleveland, which Roman Reigns is actually advertised. So we have to see what he's going to be doing. There's a lot of storylines, but let's get started. To start off the show, we got the WWE Undisputed Champion Cody Rhodes opening up the show, and he basically talks about his confrontation with The Rock. I talked about it because he didn't show up for Monday Night Raw. We saw The Rock give something to Cody that kind of made him uncomfortable. So we actually found out that what he gave Cody was an old gift that Cody Rhodes gave The Rock. So he said, "I hope you'd never break my heart again." And Cody Rhodes bringing out a playbook from Brandy Rhodes saying that, "Who told you that it was open mic night, bitch?" That's basically a quote that Brandy Rhodes said to Jade Cargill a couple years back on AEW. So he used the same quote that his wife used. So it was funny to see. And basically, he said that there's going to be two triple threat matches in this Friday Night SmackDown, where the two winners of those triple threat matches will face one-on-one next week, and the winner was that will face Cody at WrestleMania Backlash for the Undisputed Championship. So it's going to be great to see. And it was really a short segment. Basically, he said that, to the locker room, if you don't know who I'm Cody Rhodes, and I'm your new Undisputed Champion. And that's the end of the segment. And we also saw the Bloodline, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman going up to Roman's office, but they were freaked out because now Cody Rhodes is champion. He has taken over Roman's champion locker room, so they're freaking out. And basically, Solo said he wants to fix it and go after Cody, so we have to see what happens. What are your thoughts on the opening segment with Cody Rhodes?
I mean, it's great to see how things are going. The whole thing with Rock going on. I mean, this is setting up something to happen in the future. We're going to see a confrontation between Cody and The Rock, and there's a lot of things that are there behind the scenes. I'm not sure how well Cody and The Rock know each other, but they are from a wrestling dynasty family, and it's really interesting to see how things are going to be going forward with Cody and The Rock, and of course Roman there in the background, waiting to get his chance back, and there's a lot of it's going to be interesting with what's going to happen at Backlash and SummerSlam. There's a lot of time in between that, and we're going to have to see how things develop.
Yeah, definitely. And that's it's great to see Cody as champion. We have to see how long he actually holds on to the title. Maybe they might actually have Cody Rhodes try to pull a Roman with so many days as champion, but we have to see what happens. I'll say at least two. I'll say maybe at least 1.5 years. He probably hold on to the title. We have to see. We have to see who's going to be the one to dethrone Cody. There's rumors that Randy Orton might be the one to dethrone him, but we have to see what happens. Moving on to the first match, we got the first Triple H, we got the first triple threat match that will determine Cody Rhodes' next opponent. We got Bobby Lashley versus LA Knight versus Santos Escobar in the triple threat match, where the winner will move on to that one-on-one match where the winner will face Cody Rhodes at Backlash. So we got Bobby Lashley, LA Knight, and Santos Escobar, and we already know Santos Escobar already got a plan off of sleeves. Santos Escobar is a coward, staying back and watching Bobby Lashley and LA Knight fight. And towards the end, we saw Santos Escobar's lapdogs get involved. And it's like, there's a plan. This crew's going to get involved. But the Street Profits got involved. It was a great match. We all knew Santos Escobar wasn't going to win this match. I was like, oh God, Santos Escobar versus Cody? Hell no. But at the end, it was Santos Escobar tried to take advantage, but Street Profits makes the save. Santos tried to take advantage of it, but LA Knight was able to hit the BFT. LA Knight defeats Bobby Lashley and Santos Escobar to move on to the one-on-one match. So LA Knight is one step closer to facing Cody Rhodes at Backlash. So what are your thoughts on this match? LA Knight winning this triple threat match.
Now it'll be interesting to see. I know Santos Escobar and the Sweet Profits and Bobby Lashley were sort of allies when they were going against LWO. No, actually, Santos Escobar and Bobby Lashley were enemies, but now they're both sort of heels. And I think that there's some sort of, uh, you know, a storyline that can be made right there with Santos and Bobby Lashley right there. That can happen. At the same time, Bobby Lashley, I believe he definitely deserves a shot at getting a championship run again. Santos Escobar, it would be really cool to see him because um, Santos is not that big as a heel. He hasn't won a championship yet. He hasn't won anything yet. And in order for him to get there, he has to uh, to build up himself a little bit more in terms of his notoriety. It makes sense that LA Knight would be the choice guy because LA Knight's been doing it a little bit longer and he has faced off against the champion before. So it makes sense that he would be a champ facing off against a champion again. Um, I can see that happening at the same time. I think it needs to be more of a heel type of person. So Santos could be that guy that can definitely push that forward, but he probably still has some unsettled business to settle with the LWO. So I think it makes sense that LA Knight would be the guy that's going to be one of those in that one-on-one match. So.
All right. So moving on, I just want to say something real quick. Rey Mysterio and LWO did get interviewed, and they were talking about Santos Escobar. And Santos Escobar in the interview claimed that he did not attack Carlito, and Rey Mysterio thinks he's lying. So I still think Carlito is going to be the one. one responsible for attacking Dragon Lee. So we have to see what happens. They're doing the Trick Williams and Carmella Hayes storyline over again. Santos claiming that he did not attack Dragon Lee, but we have to see. I think Carlito still did it. My money's on Carlito. People are saying that it might be Andrada, who was the one that attacked Dragon Lee, but we have to see what happens. So it's an interesting storyline. But moving on, we got the Bloodline. Coming out, and it's interesting because Solo Sokola's entrance came out, and he's flanked by Paul Heyman and Jimmy Uso. And get this, couple months back, Roman Reigns said that when he leaves, he said that Solo's going to be the new tribal chief. So it looks like Solo Sokola is taking over right here. So they had a confrontation. They talked about John Cena, Undertaker showing up, and Jey Uso talking about how Cody Rhodes last year got distracted off of a Solo Sokola spike, and Roman Reigns took advantage. But this year, it was Roman Reigns that took his eye off the prize. Instead, smashed Seth Rollins with a chair, got distracted. But this year, Cody Rhodes got distracted. But Solo Sokola custom and said that if winning and losing matter, there's consequences to losing. I thought Solo Sokola was going to kick Paul Heyman out of the group, but it turns out Jimmy Uso, he confronts Jimmy Uso, embraces his brother and says that his brother loves him. But when he turns around, a hooded man attacks, and it's the debut of Tamanatuga. I think he is Bloodline, but he just made his debut in WWE. Tama Taga beats down Jimmy Uso. I can't say his name, but I heard of him. I think he has like in the Bloodline family, and they started brutalizing Jimmy Uso, and Paul Heyman standing there freaking out, saying that this is not what the tribal chief wanted. And it's going to be interesting because Paul Heyman tried to call Roman Reigns, but Solo smashed his phone. So we might see a babyface return of Roman Reigns. So we might see a Bloodline Civil War right here. So it's going to be a hell of a storyline. So it's a build up. I thought maybe I think Jimmy Uso has officially turned face right here after attack. People are saying that him and Jey Uso might reunite, and with Roman coming back, and it's gonna be Roman and Jay and Jimmy versus the new Bloodline, the Rock, the heel group Bloodline. So we have to see where Paul Heyman fits in. Is he gonna team with Roman? Is he gonna team with the heel group? People are saying that Paul Heyman might betray Roman Reigns. We have to see what happens. So I'm definitely digging the new Bloodline Civil War. It's gonna happen. But what are your thoughts on this segment?
A lot of people had said that when that this call shot was done was from is the Rock. The Rock is telling Solo to kick Jimmy out of the Bloodline because Jimmy, honestly, ever since Jimmy betrayed the Bloodline the first time, and then betrays Jay again. I mean, what's the chances of Jimmy actually betraying the Bloodline again? Right? Jimmy can definitely do it. Jimmy is completely unhinged as a character in the Bloodline, and since that happened, right? Jimmy Solo never looked at Jimmy the same ever since then. Of course, Solo has one eye on what's going on, one eye on Jimmy, and then Solo betrays Jimmy. That kind of makes sense that Jimmy gets kicked out of the Bloodline because of what he's done in the past and what's going on and what he's said and done. I can see that reason behind it. But for that to happen to Jimmy in a manner like that, that was just brutal. That was brutal way to get kicked out. And honestly, Jimmy now has to do his redemption arc somehow, some way. Jimmy Uso is definitely going to be coming for the Bloodline because he was kicked out, and I don't think Jay is going to be there to help him because he has to win back Jay's respect. He's got to win back the SmackDown locker room respect, just like Jay did, and that's not going to be an easy thing to do because he's definitely got enemies, and that's just the way it is. He has to definitely work his way back in people's good graces, just like the first time, and Jay did the same thing. The other thing is that Paul Heyman also has a history of betraying people. I could definitely see Paul Heyman betraying Roman and siding with Solo. He's not the type to play turn the face and actually stick with Solo. He's betrayed Brock Lesnar. He's betrayed CM Punk. Who else has he betrayed? He's betrayed a lot of people. Um, I mean, we can look at the track history of Paul Heyman right there. I could definitely see Paul Heyman sticking with the bloodline. I've never seen a Rock and Paul Heyman team up. Now that would be something to see the Rock and Paul Heyman teaming up together. That would be insane. I've never seen the Rock and Paul Heyman team up before in WWE history. But that would be a really interesting angle to see that happen. With Paul Heyman announcing the final boss, The Rock, he's the wise man, The Rock for that would be a really interesting angle right there. It also kind of signals to me that maybe the Bloodline is becoming they're not as they're losing their notoriety as a powerful faction group, and they're starting to become a less powerful, less well known group. Um, Jay definitely could be coming to help out Jimmy. That's for sure. And Roman Reigns, man, returning face. I don't see that happening at all. I don't see Roman Reigns turning face at all. Roman Reigns is staying heel as heel can be. Roman Reigns is going to remain the tribal chief because it has to be a bloodline civil war. I'm definitely seeing Roman Reigns turning on The Rock sometime in the future and Roman Reigns kicking The Rock out of the bloodline because The Rock invited himself into the bloodline. And I mean, if we see this really, really crazy, psychotic type of version of Roman Reigns where he just goes crazy with power and he says, I'm the tribal chief, you need to submit to me. Remember, The Rock submitted to Roman Reigns, not the other way around. Okay? And that makes sense. And so for The Rock to go ahead and do stuff behind Roman Reigns' back without Roman knowing, of course, he's going to take off Roman. And Roman's going to do something to kick The Rock out of the bloodline. I can see this Rock and Jimmy and Jey Uso team up, Civil War versus Roman Reigns and the new bloodline, this new bloodline faction right here. I can see that happening. This is just the opposite.
Yeah, and it's going to be a build up. They're saying that I definitely think that Roman's going to come back as a face. But I think it's a build up. I think it's going to be a build up to WrestleMania 41. We're going to have Roman versus The Rock. Roman as the baby face, The Rock as the heel, so it's going to be interesting. They're saying at SummerSlam it's going to be the Usos versus Solo Sikoa and his new teammate in Taman Tugas, who just made his WWE debut. There's another guy named Jacob who made his WWE debut. He's also in the Bloodline family, so they're saying that what if Jacob, joins the Bloodline? That'd be insane. It's really going to be a civil war in the Bloodline. But moving forward, I want to talk about this quick match. I don't understand. I guess it's just showing how strong Braun Breaker is. We got Braun Breaker versus Cameron Gribbs, and big rip to Cameron Gribbs. And obviously we saw Braun Breaker team up with Baron Corbin on NXT. They were NXT Tag Team Champion for a bit until they made the decision to drop the titles, which makes sense because Braun Breaker already signed to Smackdown. So Braun Breaker made his farewell to NXT, so that's why they dropped the titles. So Braun Breaker is officially on SmackDown. So they're building up Braun Breaker matches. So it was a really quick match. Braun Breaker's strong. I know you said you don't really watch Braun Breaker in NXT. I kind of got into an NXT. But Braun Breaker is a strong man. He's great. People are saying that, he could be the next Paul Heyman guy. Because if you guys don't know, on NXT, there was at one point Paul Heyman was in the corner of Braun Breaker. And it looks like Paul Heyman has a lot of respect to Braun Breaker. But that's going to be a hell of a duel if that happens. Like, imagine if Paul Heyman just screws the whole bloodline and just in line with Braun Breaker. That'd be funny. But we have to see what happens. But Braun Breaker defeats Cameron Gribbs. Cameron Gribbs did put up a fight, but it wasn't enough. Braun Breaker, who probably has a top 3 spear. I like Roman's spear, but Braun Breaker has a deadly spear. It's just nasty. Braun Breaker defeats Cameron Griff with a huge spear. I guess they give Braun Breaker these matches just to show, just in case I think people like you who don't watch NXT, they're like, who the hell is this guy? And it's like, oh, this guy's so strong. He can win matches under like 1 minute. So I think that's what it is. But they did the same thing with In the Share. They're like, who the hell is in the Share? Well, there's just these 2 huge guys who they have Jinder Mahal as their manager, and they're like, oh, they're just 2 huge guys that can actually wrestle. So that's basically what they're doing. But what are your thoughts on this Braun Breaker and Cameron Griff match?
Well, Braun Breaker's the new breakout star in the WWE. This guy, just like Jade Cargill, has a lot of potential. Tiffy Time definitely has a lot of potential to be a really big star going forward. So, great to see Braun Breaker pick up a win in WWE. He still has a lot of growing to do, as well as the other guy also has a lot of growing to do. So I wouldn't say Braun Breaker's spears are the top 3 in WWE. Bobby Lashley has a serious spear. There's Bobby Lashley. There's Roman Reigns.
My top guy who I feel like has the best spear in the industry is Edge. I still think Edge has one of the best spears in the industry.
Damian Priest has a good spear. So yeah,
I don't think he spears.
Well, he doesn't spear, but other people spear.
Edge is my top pick for the best spear in the industry. Edge has one of the best spears.
Well, I would say that these guys definitely have a lot of potential in the WWE. So it's great to see these growing and improving. And that's all I have to say about that.
All right, so moving on, we got the new WWE Women's Champion making her entrance for the first time. Bayley, you deserved it, Chance. She talks about it feels good until she gets interrupted by Tiffy Time. Tiffany Stratton said that Bayley clearly built up to some open challenge and he accepted, but apparently Bayley said he didn't want to do offer her open challenge, said that he was planning on having Naomi. Tiffany Stratton is funny. I like her. Obviously I think she's hot. But she was bitching about Naomi couldn't get and then Naomi gets interrupted and basically Tiffany claims that she beat Naomi, which turns into our next match, which is Naomi and Tiffany Stratton. So before we get into this next match, what are your thoughts on this segment with Bayley being the new champion and then Naomi being her first challenger and the whole disagreement with Tiffany?
I really think that Bayley definitely deserves the time as champion. Definitely, Io Sky, man, fought as hard as she could to keep her championship and retain as Damage Control tried to do the same. However, it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough because they got taken out by that power team of Jade, Bianca, and Naomi. And now the path is clear for Naomi to go ahead and challenge anyone she wants, and she doesn't have to deal with any issues whatsoever. So I definitely think that Naomi deserves that challenge, that opportunity to challenge Bayley for the championship. Tiffany Stratton can definitely wait her chance in line, and wait for her chance in line, and if she can get that chance, get that shot. So that's all she's got to do. Simple as that.
All right, so moving on, we got Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton. Last time these women faced was before Elimination Chamber, I believe, or maybe after. Tiffany Stratton was the win. Tiffany Stratton looking to make it 2 in a row against Naomi. Tiffany Stratton so far has been on fire. I don't think she ever lost a match. But this match was great. Naomi is a great, has an athletic woman. She has some great, moves. Bayley was watching in this match too, and we kind of knew that maybe Tiffany was gonna lose, but it was pretty close. At some point, I thought Tiffany was actually gonna do it. She tried her prettiest moonsault ever, but no. Naomi put two legs up, and Naomi ends up winning with a jackknife pin. So it wasn't too strong. I was like, really? She didn't kick out of that? It didn't look too deadly of a finisher, and I was like, come on, man, really? They had her lose like that? Like it wasn't actually a strong like finish. It wasn't. It was a weak. It was literally a weak finisher. But Naomi gets the win over Tiffany Stratton with the jackknife pin. So Naomi with the win, and I think that's Tiffany Stratton's first singles loss on SmackDown. I think. Because looking at Tiffany Stratton, she had so many wins, so I believe this is her first singles loss. So it's crazy, but she will keep the momentum going. What are your thoughts on this Naomi and Tiffany Stratton match?
It's just that Tiffany Stratton just definitely will keep on winning. Sometimes you can't win everything. Sometimes you lose. Sometimes that happens. That's just a part of life. And she just wasn't able to win at that time. So that's all that she can do at that moment. Accept the loss, keep moving forward. She's gonna get her chance again in the future.
All right, moving on. We got Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. These two actually teaming up together. I called it. We talked about it. We got Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill versus Chelsea Green and Pippa Niven. Like, holy shit, that bitch is actually back. Pippa Niven's actually back. Wow, holy shit, where have you been? Sleeping under a rock and crying about losing your title. That was the last time we saw those losers. And Chelsea Green is trying to get match after match, and she just can't get away from Jade Cargill. She already had that funny ass one-on-one match she had with Jade Cargill, like where she got absolutely destroyed. Jade Cargill absolutely destroyed Chelsea Green. I'm glad that she took that bitch down, and now she wants to face the one, and now she just can't even catch a break with Nick Aldis or Adam Pearce, and now she just can't run away from Jade Cargill. But to make it worse, she has to face against Bianca Belair, which is a nightmare. Pepper Nivens actually did take advantage of a couple seconds in this match, but Jade Cargill was just too strong, and it was easy work. Chelsea Green once again got her ass kicked, which I absolutely love it. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill win by pinfall with the Jaded from Cargill on Chelsea Green. So it was a short match. Poor Chelsea Green and Pimper Nivens. It's laughable. It's funny. But I'm telling you, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are going after the Kabuki Warriors. They said it themselves. They're looking for gold. So that's going to be hell of a tag team. I can say this. If Bianca and Jade win the tag team titles, they need to defend it more. Plus, it might be a while until they actually drop the titles because that team right there is superior. But you never know because that's what exactly I said with Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. I said that before with Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler when we were at that event on Raw. We went to the event when we saw them win the titles. I said, oh, they're holding on to the title for a really long time. But what happens? Shayna Baszler betrays Ronda Rousey. We could possibly see that with Jade and Bianca. The fact that we talked about that, there's a possibility that Bianca might turn heel. We might see Bianca turn on Jade Cargill if they start a team together. We might see a betrayal. It's always going to end like that. So you never know. That's probably going to happen, but we have to see. Right now, Bianca and Jade are right now in good terms. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a betrayal later on. So, what are your thoughts on this match?
I Well, it's great that they made quick work of Chelsea Green and Pimpin Evans. They definitely would get if they were to face the Kabuki Warriors, they would get obliterated by the Kabuki Warriors because they would use their skills against them. They would just lose to the Kabuki Warriors. They're no match for them. So for Jade and Bianca to go after the Kabuki Warriors championship, the tag team championship, is good. I believe I mentioned a couple of times in the past in a couple of videos that the Kabuki Warriors have been wrestling nonstop, back to back, and defending their title. And I believe that since WrestleMania, Asuka was injured, and so there's a possibility that yes, they could definitely lose their championship, and we could see some damage control wanting to get the championships back, and that could definitely happen. But for Jade, Cargill, and Bianca, I would like to see a little run with them before the betraying starts and happens. With Bianca betraying Jade or Jade betraying Bianca, that can definitely happen. Um, but I would like to see them together as tag team champions, defending their titles, and that would be a good thing to have before that stuff happens. So that's what I would like to see going forward.
Yeah, the Kabuki Warriors they did not defend their titles at WrestleMania yet. On top of that, they got their butts kicked by Jade Cargill, Naomi, and Bianca, and yet they're tag team champions, so which was embarrassing. So, so we have to see what happens. I feel like it might be the downfall of damage control. I think Bayley can pull it off. Like, I mean, she already took the championship from Io Sky, and who's next? The Kabuki Warriors gonna lose it to Jade and Bianca, but we have to see the storyline, so it's gonna be interesting. But moving on to the main event, we got AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens versus Rey Mysterio, the second triple threat match, where the winner will face the LA Knight, who was the earlier who won the triple threat. The winner of this will face off against LA Knight next week, where the winner will face Cody at the Backlash pay per view. So. This is great. This was a great match. Rey Mysterio is athletic. Kevin Owens, of course. It went back and forth. Obviously. I actually saw Santos Escobar was going to cost Rey Mysterio in this match. So I actually saw Santos lap dance were going to get involved or something. Still, I don't think the rivalry between Rey and Santos is over yet. But I actually thought that Santos was going to cost Rey Mysterio. I wouldn't be surprised if LA Knight tried to screw AJ Styles again, but that wasn't the case. It was just a normal match. I don't think there was any chairs. And it was like, we want chairs. It's a triple threat match. No disqualifications. So, but it went back and forth. But Rey Mysterio is athletic. AJ Styles was able to hit a huge Styles clash from top of the rope on Rey Mysterio onto Kevin Owens to win the match. AJ Styles defeats Kevin Owens and Rey Mysterio to set up a WrestleMania rematch with LA Knight, where next week is going to be LA Knight versus AJ Styles, where the winner will face Cody Rhodes at Backlash, and to end the segment, LA Knight comes to the ring and square off in their number one contender match. So it's gonna be a huge rematch next week on Friday Night SmackDown. So my money's on AJ Styles because Cody Rhodes made a hint that it might be AJ Styles for him to face. So we have to see. But AJ Styles is victorious, and it's going to be LA Knight versus AJ Styles in the number one contenders match, where the winner will face Cody at Backlash. So, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that Cody, AJ Styles definitely could be the one to face Cody versus LA Knight. I mean, AJ Styles needs his revenge against LA Knight for winning at WrestleMania, the biggest stage in wrestling. In wrestling, and AJ Styles was supposed to win because he did have LA Knight on the ropes. He was attacking LA Knight's legs. He was attacking his knees, and you mentioned that before. They were just throughout WrestleMania. You saw people going for the knees, going for the legs, and somehow, some way, LA Knight persevered, and he was able to get that win against AJ. And AJ's coming for some payback. He's giving that payback to LA Knight, and this would be the perfect way to continue the feud that he has with LA Knight to get that win over LA Knight to face Cody, at Backlash. So I think that it would be really interesting to see AJ Styles against Cody Rhodes because these guys, I've never seen these guys face off against each other, but it was really interesting to see both of them face off against each other to see who's going to get the WWE title. So can't wait to see that.
All right. So that would do it, guys. What a Friday Night SmackDown after WrestleMania 40. I absolutely enjoyed it. In terms of grading, I give this an A minus. How about you?
I give it an A minus, an A plus actually, and I give it an A plus. It was just great, wonderful.
All right, so that would do it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. But before we sign off, just want to mention that the WWE draft will be coming up at the end of April, so I might do like a separate video. I might do a video sharing my thoughts of potential like storylines where wrestlers draft. There's rumors that Cody Rhodes might just be on Raw. They might do a title switch, so they might do. It's interesting because our friend Joey said that Cody Rhodes might just stay on Raw with the title, and then they might separate. They might break up the Judgment Day by having Damian Priest go to SmackDown, which is going to be the beginning of the downfall of Judgment Day. So we might be doing an exchange like, SmackDown will have the World Heavyweight Champion, Raw will have the Undisputed Champion in Cody Rhodes, so which if that happens, that'll be crazy. But we have to see what happens. But anyways, my name is Bruce Steele. This is Canadian Yorker. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out Canadian Yorker's YouTube channel. The link will be in the description as well. Check out our wrestling channel, which is WWE Wrestling Bros. And we will see you next time for our broadcast for Monday Night Raw. Any last words before we sign off?
Yeah, just can't wait to see how things are gonna be going forward with all these new storylines coming out of Raw and SmackDown, and it's gonna be exciting to see what's happening. I'm also excited to see how the draft goes, so can't wait to see what happens.
All right. And then if you guys want us to go to France for the WWE event, make sure this video gets 10,000 likes. Imagine going to France for the WWE event.
Yeah, that would be wild.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. That was our recap for the Friday Night SmackDown after WrestleMania 40. And like I said before, it's officially the road to WrestleMania Backlash, which will take place in France. I love how these pay-per-views are going to be out of the U.S. Like, we got Clash of the Castle, which is going to be in Scotland. There's rumors saying that Drew McIntyre is going to be there. He might actually have his moment winning the World Heavyweight Championship in Scotland at Clash of the Castle, because there might be rumors that he might win the championship off of Damian Priest. It might be Damian Priest versus that's basically Drew McIntyre's hometown, so there's rumors that that's the time he's going to win in front of his crowd, plus his home country. That's all he wanted to do, so which sets up probably a World Heavyweight Championship match against CM Punk at SummerSlam, but we have to see what happens. But anyways, my name is Bruin Steele, this is Canadian Yorker. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy your Sunday afternoon, and we'll see you later.
See you later.